What's the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust? Hi, I'm Neil Tyra. I'm an estate planning attorney in Rockville, Maryland, and I do estate plans for regular folks like you and me. Well, the hardest part of the job is learning how to pronounce irrevocable. Most people want to say irrevocable. I think both are fine. But we get this question all the time about what's the difference and when might I use one versus the other. So this is the first of a series of videos that we're going to do on the features of trusts in estate planning. We're going to take a very high level look at the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust here, and then we'll go into further details later. So number one, can you change the trust? Well, as you might expect from the name, for a revocable trust, yes, you can revoke it, you can change it. For an irrevocable trust, no, you can't. It's set in stone. Once you create it, you cannot change it. Number two, can I avoid probate by using a trust? Well, this is usually the argument that most attorneys and financial planners use for suggesting that you must have a trust, that you must avoid probate. So yes, both trusts, both a revocable trust, a revocable trust, and irrevocable trust, both of them avoid the probate process. You do not have to go through the court system in order to disperse your assets upon your death. In later videos, I'm going to suggest to you that that's a bit of a red herring and that you ought not to be overly concerned about avoiding probate, but that's a subject for another video. Will it protect your assets from creditors, lawsuits, and sometimes the government? This is probably the most misunderstood aspect of using a trust. A revocable trust provides no asset protection. Creditors, plaintiffs in a lawsuit can reach into that trust just as much as if they could reach into your pocket alone. A irrevocable trust does provide asset protection, and in specific cases, it can completely shield those assets from your creditors. How about Medicaid protection? Does a trust provide Medicaid protection? A revocable trust, no, it doesn't. But an irrevocable trust does provide Medicare protection, meaning it shields those assets from being counted towards your acceptance under Medicaid. Now, there's some rules about a 5-year look back, but in general, an irrevocable trust does provide Medicaid protection. Will it avoid estate taxes? Well, an revocable trust, the answer is no. An irrevocable trust, yes, oftentimes it does avoid taxes, but that's because you're removing those assets from your taxable income. Is that important? Well, not necessarily so, because the federal exemption for having to pay estate tax is 15 million now. So if your estate is less than 50 million, you're not going to pay taxes anyway. So using a trust to avoid estate tax is kind of misplaced. And lastly, do I retain control over my assets using these trusts? In a revocable trust, you have full control of those assets. You can move them in, move them out, do with them whatever you want. In an irrevocable trust, no, you don't have any control over the assets. That's the whole point. You're giving up domain over those assets. So those are the key distinctions between a revocable trust and irrevocable trust. We're going to go into further detail and some specific aspects of this in later videos. Again, my name is Neil Tyra. I'm an estate planning attorney in Rockville, Maryland, and I do estate plans for regular folks like you and me.